And I'm talking about America's team and the Dallas Cowboys. And Dan Rooney, who was interviewing me, he said, stop right there. He says, let me tell you a little story about America's team. He said in 1976, us Steelers, we beat the Dallas Cowboys in Super Bowl X. Boswell was the commissioner. He calls up my dad and says, we're making our highlight tape. We want to name the Steelers America's team. That's going to be our caption. He said, the chief, he always had a cigar. He said he took a puff of that cigar and he said, Pete, let me tell you something. We are not America's team. We are the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Good morning, YouTube. It's your favorite Steelers family coming back with another one. Surprisingly, a win. Do we deserve it? I don't know. But to my right, you know him as
Juice.
And I am Duck. So listen, Steeler Nation, are you happy with that win? I don't think I am.
Me neither. This should have been a game where we blew the opponent out of the water. Instead, it came down to the very last wire.
I know, and who saved us again? Minkah Fitzpatrick. Thank you, Dolphins, because without him, I think that game would have went a different way. He had one pick, and he had a fumble recovery, I believe.
Yeah, that's correct. And I know the Steelers are way better than what we performed on Sunday. We have proven to ourselves we are way better than what we performed on Sunday.
Yeah, I get there's professionals on both sides of the ball, but when you're favored by that much, it's kind of ridiculous to play down to your opponent. I mean, the Cowboys had no business staying in that game.
This was a really big game for me because the rest of my family are Cowboy fans, and if we were to lose, they would have talked so much junk.
Man, Big Ben kind of saved us on the offensive side. He was 29 out of 42, 306 yards. That's a 7.3 average. Yeah, 3 TDs and no interceptions.
Unfortunately, there's not a lot of good things to say about our running game. James Conner had 9 carries, only 22 yards. That's an average of only 2.4 yards, and his longest run went for 6 yards.
Man, I love Juju's grit. He had 6 receptions, 93 yards, 1 touchdown, and he had 7 targets, so pretty much caught everything that went his way. Deontay Johnson had 6 receptions, 77 yards, and he had 10 targets. Claypool, 8 receptions, 69 yards, and he had 13 targets. And then Big E, Eric Ebron, Air Ebron is what he's being called. 3 receptions, 22 yards, and an impressive touchdown, and he had 6 targets.
Now for the defense for Pittsburgh. Vince Williams had 8 total tackles, 2 of those being tackles for the loss. Robert Spillane had 6 tackles. Minkah Fitzpatrick also had 6 tackles, but he had the fumble recovery, the INT, and the breakup at the end. And Joe Hadden had 5 tackles.
No, we only had 2 sacks on the day. We had a half a sack for Cam Heyward, a half a sack for TJ Watt, and then 1 sack for Alex Highsmith.
Okay, so it came out that the Cowboys schemed for this game. They knew Bud Dupree and TJ Watt was a threat. So they ran a bunch of plays where they had to fall back and pass coverage, leaving only a small amount of people to get the quarterback.
So Juice kind of touched on the rushing game. Over the past 3 weeks, there was 59 carries for 188 yards. That's an average of 3.2 per carry. That is insane. We need to step up on the running game because if we go up on an opponent, we're not going to be able to run the ball. So we need to fix that.
Ben Roethlisberger recorded his 18th 300-plus yard game of his career. That's 5th in history, only behind Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, and Peyton Manning. That's good company to keep.
Now, when we were talking about Dallas's quarterbacks, the name Gilbert never came up. But he did pretty well. He went 21 out of 38, 243 yards. That's a 6.4 average, 1 touchdown to CeeDee Lamb, and 1 interception. Really not that bad for somebody who we didn't think was going to be playing.
Okay, now for the rushing game for Dallas. Their rushing game was much better than ours. Tony Pollard had 9 carries for 57 yards. That's a 6.3 average, and his longest run of the day was 20 yards. Zeke now had 18 carries, 51 yards. That's only a 2.8 average, and he had His longest was 10 yards.
Now, Juice, I have a question. A lot of people on the internet were saying that Tony Pollard is a better running back, and seeing you like the rushing game, what do you think? Should they start Tony Pollard or Zeke?
I don't really know, because Zeke is good for running people over, and he's that third down and one kind of running back. But Tony Pollard has that speed, so I really don't know.
All right, at least we didn't give up 100 yards to rushing or to a receiver. CeeDee Lamb had 4 receptions for 71 yards and 1 touchdown. Cooper, 5 receptions, 67 yards, no touchdowns. So at least we kind of held them in check right there. But overall, I mean, yeah, it's a shocker that we won.
Trayvon Diggs for the defense for Cowboys had 7 tackles, and Jaylon Smith also had 7 tackles. Xavier Woods had 6 tackles, and none of them had tackles for loss. Luckily, we escaped Dallas with no injuries, but breaking news, Vance McDonald just been placed on the COVID list. Hopefully he gets better and it's a false positive.
All right, guys, sorry for the poor quality, but this came out just as the video was being edited. Ben Roethlisberger, Jalen Samuels, Gerald Hawkins, and Vince Williams also has been added to the COVID-19 reserve list.
God!
Hopefully they could play on Sunday.
Please, no!
They're eligible to return in 5 days if they test negative. Now, Boz didn't have the best game, even though he hit his career high. So he went 2 for 2 for field goals, the long being 59, but he missed both extra points.
Yeah, just overall, their special teams was better than ours.
So, with Sunday's games in the book, it is official. We are 8-0 for first time in franchise history. This also means that Coach Tomlin is 14 years as a head coach and 0 losing seasons. I mean, everyone wants to fire Coach Tomlin when things are going bad, but if you look at his career, he's destined for the Hall of Fame.
Here's a random score stat for you, Duck. The Steelers won on Sunday 24-19. That's not a common final score. It has only been done 30 times in football history. For Pittsburgh, it's the second time they've had that score. The other was in 1963, also on the road, also against the Cowboys.
Wow, in 100 years of the NFL, that's only happened 30 times. That is a strange score stat. All right, guys. For the improvements on the offensive side of the ball, running. Run the gosh darn ball. Run the ball like your life depends on it. That's all I got for offense. Defense, we need to solidify our run defense. We were top tier at the start of the year, but the past couple games, we've been lackluster. I know we're missing Tyson and Alualu, but something has to give.
Dang it, Doc, that's exactly what I was going to say. Both defense and offense, our run game needs to improve.
I mean, maybe the injuries are hurting us because, like I said, we're missing Tyson. We're also missing Derek Watt, the fullback, and we're missing Mike Hilton. So it could be that hurting us.
Okay, going on the game balls now. My offensive one is going to Big Ben Roethlisberger. He had 300 yards, 3 TDs, and 0 INTs. That's 100 yards per touchdown. He was a game leader out there. Now my defensive one is going to Minkah Fitzpatrick. He was the defensive game leader with 1 breakup, 1 INT, and 1 fumble recovery.
All right, I was going to pick the same exact ones, literally of offense and defense, but for the sake of being something different, I'm going to go with Juju. Like I said before, the catches that he makes, they're not easy catches, and the way he fights for extra yards and covers up the ball, I mean, he's a great receiver. And defensively, I'll give it to Cam Heyward. That sack at the end of the game, freaking, I felt that. I yelled. I'm happy for Cam.
Okay, so this is our first home game in 3 games. We played Baltimore, Tennessee, and Dallas. 3 hard stadiums to win against.
Now, this game has me a little worried because Joe Burrow is getting hot right now. I don't know if Joe Mixon will be back for this game, but if so, we're going to have to contain him, unlike what we did the past couple weeks.
Okay, moving on to predictions now. I think Ben will have another great game, 300 plus passing yards, 3 TDs, and 0 INTs again. And his leading receiver will be Eric Ebron with 2 of those touchdowns, getting 116 yards. And Connor, I think, will top 100 yards. I think he'll get 112 yards and 1 touchdown.
I think it's going to be a big day for Big Ben. Because like Ju said, we're going to be home for the first time in 3 weeks. Ben's going to hit over 300 yards once again, but only 2 touchdowns. Juju is going to be the lead receiver, and he's going to have a 100-yard day. But our running game is still not going to come off because Connor's going to hit around 80 yards. Still better than what he had, but I would like to see a 100-yard day.
Okay, so now we're predicting the Bengals. I think Joe Burrow will get 257 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. His leading receiver will be AJ Green with 1 of those touchdowns and 117 yards. And I don't know if Joe Mixon will be back, so Giovani Bernard will have only 87 yards against us.
I think Joe Burrow is going to have 220 yards. The leading receiver is going to be Tyler Boyd with 87 yards. And I won't give a rusher's name, but I will say their rushers will combine for 89 yards.
Okay, guys, moving on to score predictions now. I think we will come out on top with them having 10 points and us having 28 points.
All right, guys, when it comes down to score predictions, make sure you drop them in the comments section. And last week, I can say for sure, nobody in the world would have got the score right. But for my score for the Bengals game, I believe we will come out on top and have 31 points, and the Bengals will have 14.
Like Duck said, guys, drop your score predictions down below, and you never know, you can win a free table towel.
All right, guys, thank you for listening, commenting, subscribing, clicking that bell, all that YouTuber nonsense. But we truly appreciate it. And guys, if you could get this video to at least 10 likes, that will help the channel out greatly. That's all I'm asking for, just 10 likes.
Yeah, guys, share it with your friends and family, and comment down below what you want us to do next.
Now, if we use your suggestion, we will shout you out, so be on the lookout for that. Again, guys, thank you for listening. We have been Steal the Game.
We out.
Here we go, Steal.